Yo, yo, ladies and gents, Chris here, Goes to GBT on Reddit, back for more charting for you for your week. Gonna get through as many of these as I can tonight. We had some good turnout here because I let the chart run, or let the thread run a little bit longer than I normally do because I was busy today. But so we got some good turnout in terms of upvotes. So we'll be able to actually have a top 10 here, and then after we get through the top 10, I'll go through as many of the others as I can, depending on how long the top 10 takes. So here we go. Number one, ATVI long. ATVI long. Let's take a look. So one thing I want to mention before we get into this, I believe that Friday was a rebalance day, so you're going to have a lot of these big volume spikes at the end of the day. Those are somewhat deceptive, right? So you got to take out this, 3 million share block trade at the last, at 1600, just because that volume is just rebalancing among the indices. So it's not necessarily any indication of anything significant going on. However, that said, this still has nice volume overall. So ATVI long, it seems like there were a lot of upvotes for this for some reason. I don't really see any exciting pattern on it, so I'm not sure why. Maybe there's some kind of news that is tickling people's fancies? 9/16/2016, Activision Blizzard Chief Operating Officer Tipple Thomas sold 75,000 shares at 43.76. So we have the COO dumping 75,000 shares on Friday. So that's one thing. I don't know if that's a good thing. They just priced $1.5 billion of senior unsecured notes, so they're pricing some more debt. Tends to offer senior unsecured notes in 2 series. Call of Duty World League Championship, most viewed Call of Duty sports event in history. So, maybe because of this. I don't really see anything exciting about the pattern, frankly. I don't know if I like this for a long. It's just kind of doing its thing. It's just grinding up. It's a strong company, no doubt, but you got to buy it on a dip. It's kind of breaking through new highs here. Maybe everyone is just kind of excited because of this extra volume here, but that's just because of the rebalance. So I don't see anything in this right now. Maybe if it gets back down towards this trend line here, then it could be something. So 41, 42 bucks maybe would be a potentially good buy spot. It does seem to have broken over pretty significant resistance there around 40. So, if it could come back down into this area, then sure. For a short-term trade anyway, I don't see anything exciting on it right now for a short-term trade. It's just kind of stuck there. And it's not a volatile enough stock where you can just buy it anyway and it's just going to keep going like Colucid did the other day, CLCD. This thing is so volatile that even if you chase it a little bit, it's going to keep going anyway. ATVI, there's just not enough range in it to really do that. So don't see anything exciting on this one for right now, but I do like the chart overall. I think if it could get back down to the $41, $42 range, or if it could set up some kind of a pattern up here, then it'd be in a little bit better shape. Number 2. And by the way, if you guys have some reason that you think ATVI, something that I'm missing, then post it in the comments to the YouTube video. Maybe there's something that I'm missing. I just didn't see anything exciting on it right now. So maybe there's something I don't know, and I would be happy to investigate if you guys find something that I missed. Number 2, Apple long. It finally broke out this past week. Where do you think it'll go from here? Would you be cautious but still jump in? Jump in with no caution. No caution is the best way to go. That's a joke, by the way. It's a thick stock, but the news is kicking it higher, moving it up pretty quickly. What news, I guess, is my question. I don't like to speculate on news. Man, this thing's really extended. I could not buy this here. Not at all. Just looking at the chart, no way. I couldn't buy this thing here. The iPhone 7 stuff, maybe. It's just hype. How many times has Apple released an iPhone? 7 times. So it's just way too extended right now. You can't buy up here. It's got to come back down, or at least go sideways or consolidate or something. I definitely can't see buying this here. Definitely needs to wait for me, I need to wait for a pullback. Now what I do see is it's come over this long-term trend that it was having trouble getting over. Reclaim the 200-day moving average, definitely pushing higher, most likely because of the iPhone hype, but it still needs to set something up for me. Remember, I'm a short-term trader, right? So I'm not thinking buy this thing and if it doesn't work, then I'll just hold it for 7 months. Like, that's a waste of buying power and it's a waste of capital for me. So I need something that's going to work in just a few days, and this is only going to go, in my opinion, either sideways or down over the next few days. I could be wrong, obviously, but you know, the risk versus reward is not very good right now. So I would pass on that for right now, but if it does come back down and maybe bounce off a 110 or set something up where it does a little pullback and a bounce, then you might have a setup. So there you go. There's Apple. AMD long, once again. Every single week we go over AMD. Yeah, I mean, a lot of you guys asked last week about AMD. I said wait for indication of strength, like going sideways or maybe making higher lows or making some kind of a curving up pattern here. And we have that. We had it last week. So yeah, I think this is a long. I still think it's a long. You just got to be cautious with what the market does, because if the market tanks, AMD is going to go with it. So I do still like AMD. I mean, stop asking about it. Just buy it. It seems like a good chart. So there you go. NVIDIA long after 63.50. Let's hear. NVDA. By the way, consider also that we have the FOMC announcement this week on Wednesday. So if, for whatever reason, the Fed does raise rates, that's going to cause a lot of volatility. And in terms of which way it'll go, your guess is as good as mine. I really have no idea. I would suspect, negative rates are, increasing rates is generally viewed as a negative thing in the market. So I would expect, my gut says down, but then again, everyone's gut says down. And a lot of times when everyone's gut says down, the market does the exact opposite and goes up. So, it's just going to cause a lot of volatility. We know that much. Either way, it's going to cause a lot of volatility. So you just have to consider that, especially if you're going to be swing trading AMD. AMD is very closely tied to the S&P 500, to NASDAQ, and these indices that will be affected by the Fed announcement. So just consider that on Wednesday. Don't be ignoring AMD if you're long, because if the market tanks, this is going to go with it. Same thing with ATVI, same thing with Apple, same thing with NVIDIA. They're all the same. They're all going to go with the S&P 500 or the general market. So NVIDIA, long after 63.50. Yes. Once again, actually we looked at this a couple of weeks ago, and I had said the same thing. Yeah, if it sets up under 63.50, takes that out, then sure. It's really nice right there. 63.35 high, 63.49, 64, 63.32, 63.38, 63.22. What do we have over here? 63.25. So yeah, over 63.50, this is probably going to go. I would have much rather bought it, on the dip, but it can still go. There's your dip. It reclaimed it. Buy it at 63.50, you put your stop at $60, and then once it gets moving and bounces and holds over 63.50, then you can tighten your stop loss up to 63 or 62 and just let it ride. But right now it looks good. It is up, a few days in a row here, but I'd like to see it move sideways, I guess, a little bit just before it breaks out. But if it goes straight through, just look for a good intraday point to grab it, and assume that you're going to need a kind of a wide stop loss, so maybe play it a little bit smaller until it gets moving, and then you can add to it. So NVIDIA long. All right. We're going to ignore that one because that's, actually, let's see. What do you think about Twitter long for this week? Is there any hope for this name or what? Let's see. Twitter. The tweeter. It just looks like Twitter. It is holding the 200-day moving average. It just needs a catalyst, or needs some like momentum or something. It's just kind of moseying along here. It's in the same place it was 6 months ago, 7 months ago, or actually the very beginning of the year. It hasn't gone anywhere. So same thing, I guess, that I've always said on names like this. They got to have some kind of a catalyst to get them moving. If this gets a catalyst, and gets over 20 bucks, then yeah, it could definitely take off. But it's got to have something to move it, I think. And again, same type of situation here with the rebalance on Friday. You just had this big volume spike at the end of the day. It makes the volume here look, deceptively high. And it really wasn't. You know what I mean? It's just that big block trades because of the rebalance. So I don't disagree. I don't think it's a short by any means. I think it's just kind of stuck. That's all. So I don't see anything super exciting on it. But keep an eye on it. If it gets over 20 bucks or it gets some news or something like that, it could get moving. Let's see here. Twitter long. So I just did that one. GoPro. Good old GoPro. This did hold the 200-day moving average. This one's very similar to Twitter. It's just kind of stuck. It does have a little bit more juice than Twitter does. It had some nice volume here in the morning, and it was trying to break out. Now it looks like it's going to be gapping up in the morning here. But maybe, if it can get over this 15-30 area and pop back up. It really needs to get over 16. So I thought that it was going to go over here. I really liked it here, and I day traded it on this day between 15 and 16 bucks, but it just couldn't get over 16. I think when it gets over 16, then it's going to have a real move in it. But until then, it's just kind of shaking people out and, bouncing off the 200-day moving average and gap up, gap down, big day, small day. There's not really like any, like over here it was making higher lows, and then it broke that trend, and now it's made like this random low over here, and it sort of had a like downtrend there on the highs, and now it's kind of gapped above that. So I mean, there's no real like obvious pattern on it, I guess, is the only issue, but it's got a little bit of juice. So I'd keep it on radar. I wouldn't buy it immediately. Restoration Hardware, Visa, ZLTQ. ZLTQ. Restoration Hardware. It's got a nice uptrend going on. It's not really super rangy or anything like that. Just looks like it's in a nice grind here. So yeah, what was the reason for this gap here? 9, 9. September 9th. Sales windfall. Raises optimism. Something to do with earnings. Q2 beat, price target raised. Alright, so they beat their earnings. Still have inventory issues. And I'm just kind of skimming the headlines here. Obviously, if I was going to make a trade in this, I would do a lot more research. But yeah, from a technical perspective, looks pretty good. Seems like it's kind of come over this $30 area. It's holding above it. Had a big, gap up on earnings. It faded away, but it seems to be kind of holding that. So yeah, maybe it can come back up and retest those earnings day highs. Once again, all of these stocks that you guys are posting, ATVI, Apple, AMD, NVDA, Visa, a lot of these are like grandpa stocks. You know what I mean? They don't really move a lot. These are investment companies. They're not really day trading companies unless you have a very large account. AMD is somewhat of an exception just recently because it's been, on this hot run. But, all these companies, they don't really move a lot. I'm more interested in the stuff like GURE, Fitbit, even Fitbit's not that great, but CVRR, had some juice. Solar City. We want these big ranging ones. Alibaba. Stuff that's got some range, stuff that's low float, stuff that actually has some momentum. Because if you trade the other stuff like this, it's probably going to work, but it's just going to take too long, and it's just kind of, there's never really any obvious pattern on it. So it's not that I don't like these, I see the trends and all that stuff, but it's just not really my style of trading. So just consider that whenever I'm doing these analysis videos. I think that's something to keep in mind. So I do like Restoration Hardware. Maybe you grab it at kind of where it is now and set your stop loss underneath these lows in the 34.50 area. So maybe look like 60-minute chart, sort of under that area would be a nice stop loss. And wait for some kind of indication of strength. See if it can come, and push up through 36 bucks with good volume, and then you have some kind of an indication that it's actually going to break out of this consolidation that it's been in. You want to see it come over maybe 35.50 and close strong and push up with a lot of volume towards 36 bucks, and then hopefully it can get moving from there. So there's Restoration Hardware. Take a look at Visa. Yeah, I mean, see this thing? Like, it's been grinding up since 2011, and probably even earlier than that if we go back further. Yeah, so since 2008. This thing's just been grinding higher, grinding higher. So why now? You know what I mean? That's my question. Why now versus yesterday or the day before that or the day before that or last week or last year? No matter when you buy this thing, it's an investment grade company. So, this is something you buy in like a 401k and you buy it and just kind of forget about it for 10 years. It's not really a day trading stock. So, will it pop over 62 bucks or 62.50? Probably. But where's it going to go? 63? 63.50 if it's a good day. So yeah, it's there. It looks good. It's in a nice uptrend. You can buy it and put a stop loss under 61 and just hold it for a while. But it's not going to do anything exciting. So, nice chart, nice stock, nice company, just not super exciting, that's all. So, I like it. I would say, yeah, it's fine to long it. Just not, I wouldn't do it just because it's not really my style, that's all. All right, what else we got here? How many have we done? I think we've done a bunch of them. CLTQ. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we are on number 9. ZLTQ. Do not really like ZLTQ long right now. I love the pattern overall. Like this big spike here. What was the news on this day on the 9th? August 8th. Earnings. Second quarter 2000 financial results, 2016 financial results. So Q2 rev beat, higher forecast. Let's take a look at EPS Insider and see how much they beat by. So they actually missed on earnings. They beat on revenues by about 10 million bucks, and then increased guidance. So that's probably the reason for the gap. So even though they missed on earnings, looks like they smoked their revenues. 64 versus 61 over here, 78 versus 77, 61 versus 58. So you really haven't had, you had a pretty nice beat here back in Q2 of 2015 on revs, as well as a beat on EPS. So let's see, what did it do on that day, July 30th, 2015? Yeah, so same thing, big gap. It faded back there, but it kind of gapped up into the same area. Anyway, I do like the chart. The only reason I don't like it right now is just because it's up 5 days in a row. So I would want to see it, pull back or at least go sideways for a couple days just to give you a better entry. But overall, yeah, I do like the chart. Very bullish. It broke this bull flag here just recently. So I do definitely like this. Just needs, for me, it needs to pull back just a little bit, you know, or go sideways or something. I want a couple of red candles or maybe some sideways movement just before I grab it, just to confirm that it's not just going to immediately give it all back. That's all. So looks good. Coca-Cola. Let's take a look at this guy. This is another one like Visa. You know, Coca-Cola's been around for 100 years. Grind, 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 grind. You know, you just buy the dips. I do actually really like this right now on this dip. Let's look at a weekly. So here's a weekly chart. You can see we are sort of on, maybe not. So there's one sort of trend line there. So you could sort of draw like a sub-trend line here. So it's in sort of a good spot on the weekly chart. This one's going to be slow though. You know, it's a thick stock. It's got a lot of float. It does a ton of volume. There's a lot of hedge funds in it. There's a lot of high-frequency traders in it. There's a lot of people holding it in their IRAs and 401ks and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be a slow kind of grandpa stock, but doesn't mean it can't work. It just means you got to be patient with it. So I do like it. I'm thinking maybe if it could get down into like the middle of this range, then it would be a really nice buy. So maybe if the Fed, you know, tanks the market next week and we get this thing down into like 40 or 39, then it would be a super, super nice buy. But for right now, I would say it's just okay at the moment. Then again, I'm also really picky with my stocks. So, but I like it. It looks like, you know, it's definitely in a dip. So, you know, as long as you're willing to hold it for a while, I'd say it's okay to buy here. You just got to be willing to, you know, average in a little bit until it gets down, I think, into like this area. There's no real risk that this is gonna, you know, completely reverse. And it's only $4 away, so it's not like a humongous drop. I would just like to see it a little bit lower. I'd like to see it more down into like the middle of the range before I buy it. So there's Coca-Cola. So there's the top 10. Let's see if we can get through any of these other ones. Finisar, FN long, again. FN long again. The question is, did you buy FN long the last time? Yeah, I mean, you just got to buy the dips. You can't buy these things when they're up 4 or 5 days in a row. It's just not going to work as well. So, you know, buy these dips when it's down 4 or 5 days in a row, as opposed to buying it after the move is already over. Yeah, it's probably going to keep going, but, you know, as a short-term trader, if I buy this on Monday, it's going to pull back on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, and then maybe it starts to reverse on Friday, and by the end of the week after that, maybe I'll have a profit. You know, I got to sit there and wait 2 weeks for it, as opposed to you buy it on the dips, you know, then here's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and you're out on Friday, and you're done. Or even better, if you're trading something like, you know, CRBP, we shorted this on Friday in the 770s, and, you know, you're done the end of the day. So this is what I like to look for, stuff that's going to happen that day. Skyline, I bought this at 17 cents on the news that their vote had passed in order to authorize a reverse stock split. So, you know, this day, you could be done with it if you want. I actually held it over the weekend just because it looked really nice, and I think it's going to go higher. But overall, you know, that's what I like to look for. I don't want to wait 2 weeks for profits. Kara, this one actually, this one struck me. I just happened to notice it here. Kara is running in sympathy with GWPH, if I remember right. Yeah, Kara Therapeutics. I believe that they are cannabidiol or cannabidiol, whatever it's called. They're a weed company, pot company. kappa opioid receptors. Well, that's a completed phase 2 trial. I could have sworn this was a pot company. Maybe it's Kala that I'm thinking of? No, this is cancer. I don't know a whole lot about Cara, but I thought both Cara and Zyne, Z-Y-N-E, I know that this one is running in sympathy with GW Pharma. Yeah, see, synthetic cannabinoid therapeutics for transdermal delivery. So both of these, if I remember correctly, I think it's Cara is the other one. I think these are running in sympathy with GWPH with their news that they released back here on the 7th, which I forget what it was. One sec. September 7th. Buyout interest. So, you know, GWPH is a cannabidol, or I don't even know how to say that. GWPH is a pot company, and they're sparking buyout interest. They hired Morgan Stanley as an advisor or whatever. So I think that these other ones, ZYNE and Cara, are just sympathy plays off of that, because, you know, people think if GWPH gets bought out, then Cara is going to get bought out, and then ZYNE will get bought out, so on and so forth. So both of these, I think they're essentially running on nothing, but they've got the momentum. If GWPH actually does get bought out, you know, these are going to heat up a lot. So I like both of them, Cara and ZYNE. I actually really like this one. It's flagging quite nicely here underneath 11 bucks. And this is the type of stock that when it goes, it really goes. So I like these ones. It's a nice clean level there at $11. Looks very nice. If it can get over 11 bucks, this can really fly. So I'm actually going to keep that one on my list. You know, so there you go, guys. I know I've missed some. I've just been at my computer on Skype all day, working with students and stuff like that. So I'm gonna cut it off a little bit early here. If I didn't get to yours, you know, just shoot them back. We do this every single week, so shoot them back next week, and I apologize in advance. Or, you know, just post them as a comment to the YouTube video, and you know, maybe I can get back to it at some point later this week and just give you a text response and some marked up charts. So there you go. Thanks for listening, and thanks for all the ideas as always, and we'll see you next week. Peace.